In this video, I want to talk about the box model. Each element on your page will take up a certain amount of size. Typically, that's a default. There are several parts that describe the size of your element. And there is a graphical description here in your book that shows that there are exactly 4 parts. The first part is the content itself. The content is the text that's going to display on the page. That content is then surrounded by something called padding. Padding is a CSS property that can be used to add or reduce the amount of padding on each of the 4 sides of your element. The next is the border. The border is something that can be drawn as a box around, again, your element. And notice that then padding gives you some space between the text and then the border that gets drawn. Finally, there's the margin, and the margin then will take and add spacing around the border and the next element that appears either to the top, bottom, left, or right of your element. So each of these 3, margin, border, and padding, are CSS properties that accept various values. And I'm just going to scroll down to where it's described in your book. Okay, so it's about 1/4 of the way down the page. It's a section called box sizing. So when you're working with the box model, you have a small example down here where you're shown the yellow portion and then the white portion. So the yellow values are the padding values. If you supply padding and margin properties with 1 value, you will get the same amount of size on all 4 sides, okay? If you go with 2 values, this is where things get a little different. The first value specifies the top and bottom, and the second value specifies the right and left. So it's important to be careful that that's what you were expecting. So in this example here, you have 20 on the top and bottom, or sorry, 10 on the top and bottom, and 20 on the left and right. If you specify 3, the 3 values are top, right, left, and bottom. So it's important, again, to just pay attention to what you're doing here. So in this case, it would be 10 for the top, 30 would be for the right, and 30 for the left, and then 20 pixels is for the bottom. And then finally, if you have 4 values, you can specify top, right, bottom, and left going in a clockwise fashion. So this in clockwise fashion then would be 10 on the top, 30 on the right, 20 on the bottom, 40 on the left. So let's look at this example really quickly, and you see that the yellow is the padding. So the padding is, there are 3 values, so it's 20 on the top, 50 on the left, 50 on the right, and then 40 on the bottom. That's this right here. Now, if you look at the margin values, you have 2 values for margin. The first one's going to be top, bottom. The second one's going to be right, left. So the top, bottom is 40 pixels. That's in the white. And then the right, left is in 30 pixels. And again, that's left, right. Okay, so let's just give this a try so you can see how this would be if you were to implement this in code. And I started by creating an HTML page. Let me just enlarge this a bit. I created an HTML page. If you notice, you have a P tag that has 3 spans inside. So the 3 spans are going to display one right after the other with no new lines in between. So I have first, second, third. Okay, so let's just look at it as is, right? And that's what you're seeing right there. And I'm going to just change the font size. So, well, I suppose I could just do that, right? Okay, and going back to your code, let's add a couple of things. So on the spans, I'm going to first add, let me just get everything set up here. I'm going to go ahead and add some padding. Now, what if you just want to create some spacing in between each of the items, but not on the top and bottom? So there is the option of 2 values, and remember that 2 values is top, bottom, left, right, because you need to get to the left, right. So what if top, bottom is 0 pixels and left, right is, let's give it 20 pixels. Okay, because if I give it one value, the 1 is going to be applied to all 4 sides. If I give it 2 values, it's top, bottom, left, right, and then if I give it 3 values, it's top, left, right, and bottom. So there's no way I can just do the left, right by itself without just giving it that. So let's just see how that looks. Okay, notice that it's got now some nice spacing in between. All right, the next thing I want to do is add a border. So let's try adding a border here. So my spacing's a little off, but border. And I'm going to do a 2 pixel weight on the line. We'll make it solid black border. Say that. Okay, and go ahead and add. Now you can see that the padding has added spacing on the left and on the right, but nothing on the top and the bottom. So let's go ahead and add a top bottom. So if I go back to the code, all right, I'm just going to add a 10 here. So that should be top bottom. We'll leave the left right alone. And let's go take a look at how that looks. It's not going to let me move over. I have to pause. Okay, let me refresh the page. All right, so now we have 10 on the top and bottom and 20 on the left and right. Now I want to add a margin. So the margin then is going to create some spacing between the border and the next item that appears. So it'll give me some spacing if I want on the left, on the right, on the top, on the bottom. Let's do a margin all the way around. So we'll use, we can use 4 values here. And I'm just going to go back to my code. Remember what I said about 4 values, that's clockwise starting with the top. Okay, so if we do 10 on the top, 20 on the right, so this gives us 20 pixels between each. I'm going to do, well, the bottom we won't really see much, but we'll do 30. That's an awful lot. And then on the left, another, I don't know, another 10. Okay, and then let's add something here so we can see how it would appear next. Let's see, the next element. This way you can see the bottom of 30 pixels. So, and I see that I have a typo here. Make sure you add that in. Okay. And I just refreshed and you can see that it added quite a bit of spacing here, quite a bit of spacing here, and you have some nice spacing on top and bottom as well. This way now it's created some spacing to the left, to the right as well. So that's why you're seeing so much here and so little here. You could almost use this as a navigation bar if you wanted to. I would suggest you continue to play around with it so you can see the differences in the way that the margins and the padding go.